First of all, I want to thank Aaron, first of all, with coming up with, I traveled on February 14th, Valentine's Day, too. And now that I can go back and tell my wife I love India, maybe she'll now understand it, because she wasn't none too happy when I left. But thank you, Aaron. Distinguished guests and members of the Indo-American Chamber of Commerce, and ladies and gentlemen, it's a great privilege to be here and pleasure to have invited here to speak today. The theme of this conference is Synergizing Partnership for Growth. But before trying to peer into the future, it's worth pausing for a moment and reflecting how far the Indian-U.S. security relationship has come in such a short period of time. The keystone of the U.S.-India Defense Framework Agreement was signed just 5 years ago. And in that time, we have witnessed one of the most fundamental transformations in a bilateral relationship. India and the United States have long shared common democratic ideals and traditions while enjoying close cooperation in the fields of agriculture, education, and health. The end of the Cold War, along with the emergence of the 21st century asymmetrical threats in the forms of global terrorism, and Mr. Bassim, you were mentioning a couple of those just incidents the other day. The reappearance of piracy on the high seas have brought New Delhi and Washington, D.C. closer together than any time since 1947. This new relationship, underpinned by the common interest in maintaining free flow of commerce and resources, a mutual resolve in combating terrorism, and a shared vision for a stable and secure world. The most visible manifestation of this newfound friendship has been the level of military cooperation between our two countries. Ever more sophisticated and complex military exercises such as COPE, India, Malabar now figure prominently in the Pentagon schedule of annual military deployments. Indian military forces have also become a feature of U.S.-based exercises, including for the first time a contingent of Indian Air Force Su-30 fighters participating in the grueling Red Flag operation in 2008. The signing of the Indo-US Nuclear Agreement in October 2008 has without a doubt provided to be a watershed in terms of opening up technological exchange and industrial cooperation between the two nations. The deals permitted for the first time Indian and American companies to participate in each other's civil nuclear energy sector. Cementing the nuclear deal has had a huge strategic impact on other facets of the Indian-American relationship, opening up doors that were firmly shut prior to 2005. Only last year, India concluded the single largest defense transaction with a U.S. contractor, purchasing 8 Boeing P-8 maritime patrol and anti-submarine aircraft. One of the first aircraft delivers in 2013, the Indian Navy will become only the second customer after the U.S. Navy to operate this technologically advanced new system. As impressive as these strides have been over the last 5 years, there is potential for the two countries to build even greater defense cooperation in the years ahead. The visit by Prime Minister Singh to Washington, D.C. in late November, and U.S. Secretary of Defense Robert Gates' most recent trip to New Delhi has clearly signaled a desire to build even deeper bonds. As the bilateral relationship between India and the U.S. breaks new ground, both old and new challenges have been thrown up in the process. The two countries have long-standing relationships with former adversaries of one another. While the collapse of the former Soviet Union has brought about readjustment in the Indian ties with Russia, the two countries have remained close. The U.S. at the same time has had to walk a fine line developing new ties with India while trying to keep Pakistan focused on its western border. The rules governing U.S. defense exports have long proven complicated and at times a source of frustration even for the oldest and closest of allies. For relative newcomers to the FMS process such as India, trying to navigate through the U.S. military foreign military sales system and comprehend the seemingly invasive requirements such as end-use monitoring agreements, the process sometimes can seem more onerous. While the two governments having laid now the bedrock of closer security relations, the spotlight is now shifting to defense industry to begin building a cooperative infrastructure. In this respect, Boeing Company is uniquely positioned to play a pivotal role in the presence of India that stretches back not 5 years, but more than half a century. Air India has been a Boeing commercial airplane customer since 1960, when it acquired the first 707 jetliner. It turned the clock back even further. Before independence, Douglas DC-2s and 3s could have been found throughout India subcontinent. As the flagship airline has grown to become a more international carrier, it has enlarged its fleet with successive generations of 737, 74, and 777 aircraft. Air India in 2006 placed the country's largest single commercial airplane order for 68 new aircraft, including 28 of the newest 787 model, worth a collective $11 billion. Other major local customers include Jet Airways, SpiceJet, and Blue Dart. We take pride in the fact that the Indian government for the last 3 years has entrusted air transportation needs of the country's head of state and other high-level officials to a fleet of Boeing business jets. With the opening of the Indian defense market to U.S. contractors, familiarity with the Boeing equipment and long-standing commercial presence have proven critical. The recent success of the 737-based P-8 development program is perhaps a good example of this. As India continues to modernize its air and land maritime forces, we see other opportunities that stretch right back into Boeing's rich portfolio of products. Considerable international attention is now focused on India's Air Force medium multi-role fighter combat program for 126 new fighters. But now many of you will know that Boeing, with the support of the U.S. Navy and its industry partners, is proposing the latest version of the combat-proven multi-role Super Hornet. Now, as I speak, this third phase of the customer flight trials are undergoing in the United States. Competitions are also underway for new attack and heavy lift helicopters, such as the Apache, Longbow, and the Chinook, which field trials will be concluded later this year. India has also recently submitted to the U.S. government a letter of request for the C-17 Globemaster, which, if concluded, would make India the largest single operator of this type of aircraft outside the United States. Many of these systems have applications that extend beyond the traditional military missions. Both the C-17 and the Chinook have proved invaluable assets of humanitarian disaster relief missions, as evidenced by the Himalayan earthquake of 2006 and the Indian Ocean tsunami in 2004. Other longer-term opportunities for Boeing in India include C4ISR, intelligence security solutions, and airborne early warning. India boasts, by the way, a world-class industry, aerospace industry, and is supported by a first-class network of laboratories and education institutions. This offers a huge potential for industrial collaboration between India and the U.S. in the areas of manufacturing, engineering, research and development. The key to success is an equitable partnership with benefits flowing in both directions. And here again, Boeing is well positioned with an enterprise spanning both commercial and the defense sectors. For major Indian companies like Hindustan Aeronautics, Tata Industries, and I think what mentioned earlier, SMEs, there's a growing share of supplier work for 777 and new 787 commercial airliners. And this has begun to extend work packages on military programs, including the Super Hornet and the P-8. This work is brought in with a cutting-edge proprietary technology investment in new manufacturing and lean training. For Boeing, the evolving relationship has opened up a partnership with leading engineering and software companies here in India and research institutions such as HCL, Infotech, National Aerospace Laboratories, and ITT Kanpur. In March last year, Boeing Research and Technology in India Center was opened up in Bangalore to provide an interface between Boeing and its distributed chain of government laboratories, universities, and industry. By the end of the year, more than 1,700 employees to partner entities across India will be employed on Boeing-related research and technology. In conclusion, Boeing has been an integral part of India's civil aviation fabric for the last 50 years. With the signing of the U.S.-India Defense Framework Agreement 5 years ago, we've begun a new chapter in bilateral relationships between the two nations. This has laid out the foundation upon which Boeing is building an even stronger partnership with India and a strengthened relationship that has potential to last 50 years and beyond. And with that, thank you very much.